to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydrascape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydrascape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio. McDonald's all-day breakfast menu has been a big hit, but an internal survey of McDonald's franchisees finds many restaurant owners are pessimistic about the parent company's efforts to turn around sales. Only 1 in 7 think Mickey D's efforts are actually working. On Wall Street, stocks snapped a 3-day winning streak, but the damage wasn't too bad. The Dow down just 40 points, the Nasdaq down 46. Walmart shares the biggest decliner in the Dow, down 3% after issuing a weak sales forecast for the year ahead. Oregon state lawmakers proposing a 6-year plan to increase the state's minimum wage that would make it the highest in the U.S. Meantime, initial jobless claims last week fell by 7,000, hitting the lowest level since November. And General Motors will invest $148 million at a plant in Tennessee where it'll retain 200 workers and begin building a powerful V8 engine for its heavy-duty pickup trucks. I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-597-4816. That's 1-800-597-4816. 1-800-597-4816. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Keith Langlots for tonight. Partly cloudy, low 47. Daytime Friday, sunny, high 70. Friday night, mostly clear, with low 47. Saturday, we start the weekend, sunny and high 77. Saturday night, mostly clear, low 49. Sunday, sunny and high 81. Sunday night, we finish the weekend clear with low 53. Going to work on Monday, sunny and high 89. Monday night, clear, low 55. Tuesday, sunny and high 87. That's your weather forecast for this hour from KCAA 106.5 FM and 1050 AM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. It's Wolfman Jack.
Sometimes I get to thinking there's just not enough love and romance left in our lives today. And that's why I like to reminisce and to relive that first feeling of love and do it all over again.
Did you boogie with your baby in the back row of the movie show?
The Wolfman's back all the way on KCAA at midnight, Friday and Saturday nights, coming in March. Don't miss the Wolfman on 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
KCAA. Tell weeds where to go with Chateau herbicide from Valent USA Corporation. Growers and PCAs count on Chateau because it's effective on more than 90 of the toughest winter annual broadleaf and grass weeds in crops like almonds, pistachios, walnuts, grapes, and alfalfa. Chateau delivers proven long-lasting residual control, and Chateau can be used on new plantings and young non-bearing trees and vines. Even better, Chateau is weather-ready and farm-ready. Chateau stays where you put it and doesn't photodegrade as it waits for moisture activation. Other pre-emergence herbicides can leach, co-distillate, and/or photodegrade, reducing performance. And Chateau is activated with only a quarter inch of rainfall or irrigation water. Take control and keep control of weeds with Chateau herbicide. To learn more, talk to your PCA or go to valent.com/Chateau. And while you're there, find out how Asana XL insecticide protects trees from dormant peach twig borer. Always read and follow label instructions.
This is KCAA.
Hey! What the? Honey! The water just stopped in here.
They turned it off because you're wasting water.
What? What are you talking about?
You know.
Because you know it's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought. Yeah, it's pretty clear. We're really short on blue. It's time to save it, like we're supposed to do. Some say it's doom, gloom, and all our grass must go. But together we can make it and enjoy our golden state. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about
Good afternoon and welcome to the Waterzone show. This is Rob Starr, one of your hosts tonight, and Mike Barron is at the office actually doing some work. So if he's listening in, which I'm sure he is, or watching. Hi, Mike. How you doing? And tonight's our Ag Night, and we're pretty excited about that. And I'm getting in the mood because I got hungry about hearing who's going to be on the show. And we're going to go to our co-hosts here in a second down in our micro irrigation division. It'll be Paul McFarland and Claude Corcus. But just so everybody knows, we have a gentleman coming on the show named Bob Curtis. He's Director of Ag Affairs for the Almond Board of California. And in honor of that, I have a bag of California almonds made by the snack artist and distributed by Better Living Brands in Pleasanton, California. So during that segment, I'm going to be eating these almonds, and then when we get to the next segment, I got the other food. So Paul and Claude, are you guys there tonight? Hello?
In for Ingy Bisconner, who is unavailable tonight.
Ah, okay. Well,
Hi, Paul. How are you? Hi, Rob.
Hi. Well, I'll turn it over to you till break time, so have a good show, and I'll be eating almonds. See, if you're watching, here's the bag I'm eating.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, so this is Claude. So as Rob mentioned, our first guest tonight is Bob Curtis. He's the Director of Agricultural Affairs for the Almond Board of California. Bob administers the Almond Board's research program. The board funds research to keep almond trees healthy and productive. You know, almond trees are living organisms, and, like all of us, are susceptible to things like viruses, bacteria, mold, and even bug bites. One of the techniques growers use to control those bugs is to make sure the environment is healthy for insects like ladybugs, which actually eat the bad bugs that also attack the almond trees. That's a healthy alternative to spraying pesticides. And all almonds start their life as a flower on a tree that needs to be pollinated. So the health of honeybee colonies is incredibly important. The Almond Board funds research into this area also. The research that Bob manages addresses issues grower encounters during the growing season and also after harvest. And most importantly, make sure that the research makes it back onto the farm. Bob works closely with the University of California and other universities, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, UC Cooperative Extension, and other agricultural organizations and state and federal agencies. Bob rejoined the Almond Board in 2006, where he began his career 40 years ago. In 2013, Bob was awarded the UC Davis Agricultural and Environmental Sciences Award of Distinction. And so we're very honored to have Bob with us tonight. Bob, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
You bet. Hey, so Bob, we'll start off, with a little bit of your background, if you could. Just, fill us in, a little bit who you are and why is farming such a passion for you?
Actually, I did not grow up on a farm, but like many of us, my roots are in farming. My grandfather actually had a ranch, walnut and tree fruit ranch in the Santa Clara Valley, which, of course, is now the Silicon Valley. And I spent a lot of time growing up in the Central Valley, and actually during the summer times, I did work in the grape vineyards. I had an interest in ag, of course, given that. And when I went off to school, actually at UCLA, I realized I could marry my interest in science and biology and ag, and then went on to get a degree at UC Riverside in entomology, which, of course, is the study of insects. And I guess fortuitously for me, I was actually funded by the Almond Board. I was the first graduate student ever funded by them, and then after I finished my studies there, I went to work for them as my first job managing and coordinating research. And as you pointed out, I certainly enjoy ag. I certainly enjoy the research, but my real passion is making sure that the research advances that improve production practices and promote environmentally responsible crop production get to the field and are implemented. And I think over the years we've got a good track record of making some very substantial improvements. And I know we're going to talk about water use efficiency, and that is certainly one big example of that.
Bob, this is Paul McFadden. Good evening. I was just curious if you could explain in a little bit more detail who the Almond Board is and what their role is in the state.
Sure, Paul. In the legalistic vernacular, we are a federal marketing order. We're actually voted in by the industry, and it's in essence the Almond Board is a service organization for California almonds, and we do many varied activities. Obviously, a big activity is promoting almonds to consumers and markets. I've already talked about the fact that we do fund research, and it's more than just in ag production. And of course, we do have extensive programs in agriculture and getting out to the field, but extensive programs in terms of assuring crop quality and certainly getting the good word out about the nutritive value of almonds.
But you mentioned some programs. What kinds of programs does the Almond Board administer for your members?
Well, again, we've got the production research. We have a nutrition research program, which has been very important and impetus for increasing demand for almonds because they're a very nutritious product. We have a food safety and quality program, and of course, one of the big efforts over the years has been the marketing and promotion of almonds. Again, I'm in the research area, and again, because we're talking about irrigation research, we have funded over 100 irrigation research projects over a span of 30 years, and these have definitely contributed to our advancement of very efficient irrigation practices.
I just read where it only takes about 33% of the water to grow a pound of almonds, and it did versus 20 years ago. So that's a significant water savings. That you guys are to be commended for that.
Yes, thank you. That it's basically we've reduced our water demand, if you will, per pound of almonds by 33%, and don't want to get into too much of the scientific detail on this, but obviously there's some key factors to that. Well over 70% of our acreage is under micro irrigation, and 83% of our growers practice different aspects of what we call demand-based irrigation rather than just going out and turning on the water on a calendar basis, and that's critically important for efficiency and obviously for optimal production.
That's interesting because I also read where 90% of all the orchards in the state of California are family-owned, and many of them are multi-generational. So what you're telling us, it sounds like a lot of these family farms are really looking at technology and ways to improve their farming practices, including irrigation, to produce more almonds.
That's absolutely right, and obviously these family farms, these units have a long-term investment in almonds. So many of these are multi-generational, and they want to be able. The people that are running the farms now want to be able to pass their operations in a viable fashion, both from a business and agricultural standpoint, and also an ecological standpoint onto the next generation.
Yeah, so Bob, I think everybody in this drought has heard a lot of stories about, the water that's used in the state of California to grow almonds, and so everybody's familiar with that. But I think everybody also eats lots of almonds, so there's tremendous benefits. What can growers do? What kind of decisions can they make to make sure that they're using water as efficiently as they can?
Well, you get back to a lot of the components of what got us, what was successful and got us to where we are now. And one of the things that the Almond Board is doing is actually raising the bar. We have a couple of programs where the growers can to do a self-evaluation, for instance, and improve their practice based on that. And then also we have another program where we're going to be helping the growers move along what we call an almond irrigation improvement continuum. And obviously the growers are at some point on this continuum, and we've got 3 different levels. And what we're doing is that we're encouraging them to take a look at where they are and where they can improve and get to the next level, so to speak. And it involves, 5 different key areas in irrigation management, and it even starts off with the basics of more focused irrigation system management, and then, of course, the fine-tuning another area is fine-tuning their tree water demand based on weather variations. So, and again, there are 5 different components to this, and we are going to be working very closely with our growers on this, and I could say definitely we are going to be doing this in partnership with many trusted and respected technical experts and resources that we've worked with over the years, and there's a whole array of folks. We've already mentioned UC Cooperative Extension. There's the Resource Conservation Districts, the USDA, the Cal State University campuses, and then, of course, we can't overlook the private sector companies and services like the folks at Toro. So this is going to be the Almond Board is one source of good information. We are partnering with these other sources, and we encourage the growers to go out and leverage all this to improve their water use efficiency.
So Bob, it sounds like there's lots of good information coming out of the Almond Board, and there's certainly over the last 20 years a 33% decrease in the amount of water used to grow a pound of almonds is encouraging. What's your opinion on kind of the level of engagement at the grower level? Are they interested in doing this? Are they understanding that they need to move forward, or are they kind of feeling like hey, they've accomplished a lot already and that's enough?
Well, I think there's 2 aspects to that. One of them is that we're in a new era, actually, again, from 2 aspects. Number one, this drought, going beyond this drought, water availability and water is just not going to be the same in the future as it was before. It's always been precious in California since the beginning of history, but even more so now. Both water quality and quantity that we've been talking about are things that the growers and the people in the industry are going to have to pay very, very close attention to and be extremely good stewards of that. And as you well know, there are lots of regulations and initiatives out there as well in terms of groundwater quality, in terms of groundwater management, in terms of how much surface water we're going to have available. So water is definitely a precious resource. The other aspect about this is that almonds have been very, very successful. We've grown tremendously over the last 10 to 20 years, and we are now the largest acreage crop in California, and we are assuming that role of leadership, and we want to definitely be leaders and role models, if you will, moving into the future. And in particular, one of our visions is to continue to be a crop of choice for California, for our growers, for our neighbors and certainly for the people of California.
That's you made a couple of very good points. I'd like to just go back and touch on one, if I could. The aspect of these being family operations, multi-generational family operations, they really have to be doing a good job, and as have their predecessors, in order for these million acres of almonds to be passed down to the next generation, don't they?
That's absolutely right, and you're right, Paul. They didn't. We didn't get to where we are now in terms of our size and in terms of the quality of our farming operations by not paying attention to these critical issues, both in terms of ag management and stewardship of the land and the resources.
Right. Every farmer I've ever met intends to have their grandkids and great-grandkids continue to farm the same land.
That's absolutely right. There is. It's certainly more than just a business. It's a way of life.
Yeah, it's well said. I think our listeners would also be interested to know that California provides a very interesting and well-suited climate for almonds. That California grows 100% of all the almonds grown in the United States in the sub-Mediterranean climate or Mediterranean climate. And there's very few other places in the world where they grow as well as they do in the San Joaquin Valley. Is that accurate, Bob?
That's absolutely right. In fact, there's been quite a bit of visibility about almonds in California and our water use during this drought. And the question comes up from the public and the media saying, why almonds and why California? And you're absolutely right, Paul. Almonds are a Mediterranean crop, and as a Mediterranean crop, there are very exacting weather requirements that go with that. The first is that we have to have cool, wet winters, but we need sufficient chilling to set our flower buds. That's the first. The second one is that, of course, during bloom, which we're having right now, we want to have, during bloom and early nutlet development, we want to have low or no frost. No frost-free period. The frost and freezes will knock our crop off the trees, and then we're even particular going into the summer. We want all of our rain in the wintertime because almonds are very susceptible to summertime diseases. So we want to have a nice, warm, dry summer. And actually, there are only a handful of places that meet these requirements globally, maybe 4 or 5 across the globe, and there are lots of advantages to the Central Valley of California. We have had enough water resources. We have a great infrastructure, roads. We have we have the best technology and research available in the entire world. So it's just been a happy marriage of our confluence of all these factors to really expand and contribute to the success of the California almond industry.
Well, and I know that people love almonds. I eat them daily or drink them in almond milk or one form or fashion. I'm sure I'm not alone in that.
Well, Rob's eating them right now. He told us during the introduction. Yeah. He's munching on almonds as we talk.
If you watch the Ustream, you can see
that's
the
right.
That
we're a Mediterranean crop that is part of a healthy Mediterranean diet. So
right. And if anybody wants to call in and talk to Bob, you can do it on 909-888-5222 or 888-909-1050 on Kcaa 1050 AM. And I'm sure some listeners may have some questions for you, so I just wanted to throw that in and show you that I'm still eating the almonds. And I can't get too filled up because I'm waiting to get to the avocado portion. So I'll leave it back to you guys.
Hey, so Bob, I did notice, and I've used some of these, by the way, that there's some really excellent recipes that the Almond Board publishes. Can you share where people can learn more about the benefits of almonds?
Sure. We have a number of sites. So if you can Google Almond Board, or you can go to www.almonds.com, and you should land on the consumer page, and there'll be some links there to take a look around and find some great recipes.
Excellent. In the minute or so left, Bob, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners about the future of California almonds?
As I said, we want to continue to be a crop of choice for California. We're certainly a very nutritious, well thought of food product, and we want to make sure that we retain our future and we lead into the future. So we thoroughly anticipate that almonds are going to be a major viable crop for California going into the future, and we're working very hard to make sure that we earn that right for the future and that we are good, responsible leaders for California agriculture.
Excellent. Thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak with us about a very important crop, not just for the state of California, but for the nation and for the world. We appreciate your efforts in being good stewards of the resources in the almond industry, and to just say thank you to you and to the board and to all of the farmer members.
Absolutely. It's been my distinct pleasure.
Could I ask one question?
Sure. Absolutely.
How much revenue, just so our listeners know, how much revenue is brought into California because of the almond industry, so people understand about the jobs and the things and your whole infrastructure?
Almonds create over 100,000 jobs in California. We contribute directly to the California gross state product $11 billion. If another number that's out there is $21 billion, if you include all the benefit for the support industries that are aligned with almonds, that's a $21 billion value. So we are a definite significant factor in the California economy. And also I can point out that in the United States, we are the largest export specialty crop in the United States. So we definitely have an economic impact, and you would expect that given the fact that we do now have a million acres of almonds in California, but as Paul and I have been discussing, the majority of that acres, it's 6,800 growers, and the majority of that acreage is family farmed, 90% of it, over 90%, and actually the majority of that acreage is less than 50 acres. Each one of the farms is less than 50 acres each.
Excellent. Bob, again, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and I think we're up against a commercial break.
Well, thank you, and it was a distinct pleasure.
Great. We'll take a little break. We'll be back in a minute. I'm listening to KCAA 1050 AM, The Waterzone, with Mike and Rob, and this week with Paul and Claude.
Are your monthly water bills draining your wallet? Then you need Valley Soil, your one-stop expert on water conservation to save you water, time, and most of all, money. With over 35 years of experience, Valley Soil has implemented numerous conservation programs for water districts throughout California. They have performed over 12,000 water audits and installed over 300,000 smart irrigation products for municipalities, residential, and commercial property owners, saving over 293 million gallons of water each year. That's enough to fill 15,000 swimming pools. Their services also include indoor water audits, leak detection, retrofits, reclaimed water systems, and managed water use and data tracking. As certified irrigation auditors and a state-licensed landscape contractor, you can trust them to be knowledgeable about the services you need, products they install, and best practices in water conservation. For an individualized water solution for you, contact them today at 888-268-1009. That's 888-268-1009 or valleysoil.com. Remember, when it comes to innovative ideas to save water, Valley Soil never lets you run dry.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family-owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
Hey, you're back to the Waterzone on Kcaa 1050 AM. I'm your host, Rob Starr, and Mr. Barron, as I said earlier, Mr. Mikeypedia, is at the office doing work. So work on, Michael. Hope you're listening. And Paul and Claude, just so you know, and if you're watching Ustream, I have some holy guacamole and spicy pico and a bag of chips. So I'm getting ready for this section. And I'll turn it over to you. But just to let the audience know, I wanted to thank everybody who went into our website and entered the contest of how much rainfall is going to be for the month of February. The contest entry was over on the 15th, and on the first week in March on our show, we'll announce who the winner is. They'll get a $100 gift certificate, and depending on where they live, another little special goodie that we'll package into that. So anyway, enjoy the show. I'll be having guacamole and chips and listening to your next guest, Paul and Claude. It's all yours.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Our next guest is Chris Dryden. Chris, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Paul. Great to hear from you.
Great. Chris is the District Operations Manager for Mission Produce and Mission Avocado. Chris graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo with a major in farm management and a minor in animal science. He worked at numerous cattle ranches throughout Wyoming out of college, then managed a number of horse ranches throughout California and the state of Washington, where these ranches included American quarter horse ranches, racing quarter horse ranches, and thoroughbred racing ranches. The last farm that he managed was the Del Rey Racing Stables, owned by Eugene Klein, the former owner of the San Diego Chargers, where they raised a Kentucky Derby winner, winning colors, and Chris at that time was awarded Farm Manager of the Year. He then transitioned into the field management for Mission Avocados in the southern region, down in Southern California in Escondido. Chris is now the regional field manager for all of Ventura, which is where Mission is headquartered, in Oxnard, actually. They are currently the largest avocado packer in the United States, and they're number one in the world as far as a marketer, packer, and shipper of avocados. So, Chris, welcome to the Waterzone.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure, and we did get, I'm in a real good mood tonight because we did get about an inch of rain up here last night.
Excellent.
Well, we didn't get anywhere near that amount down in San Diego, but we're real pleased to hear that that you guys got some. I noticed that there's some snow in the Sierras as well, which is good for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Chris, so we just heard from Paul what you've done, and you made a big transition from the livestock business to avocados. Can you give us a little bit of information on, you know, how agriculture got into your blood and the switch that you made from horses over to avocados?
Well, you know, I was born a city kid in Los Angeles, grew up in Redondo Beach back in the 50s, and all I did was surf and played water polo and swam in high school and college. But when I was in grammar school, on weekends, we would go to Griffith Park and all the different areas, Palos Verdes, Torrance, Gardena, Culver City, and they had rental stables there, and we rented horses and took picnic lunches, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, the equine bug got me. First thing you know, besides surfing and water polo, I was competing in horse show events, quarter horse events, I was roping, I was rodeoing, so I got double hooked. And then I went to Cal Poly because of agriculture, my love. And then, I've always believed you talk the talk, you better walk the walk. So I headed for Wyoming for 5 years, headquartered out of the Pacific corner of it, Jackson Hole, Du Bois, Pinedale. And then I got tired of the winters, came back and got into reproductive physiology in California, specifically in horses. Artificial insemination, broodmare management, stallion evaluation, et cetera, et cetera. After Mr. Klein sadly passed away, I said, God, there's got to be, I needed a change of life, and I was living in Fallbrook. My sister had a couple avocado groves, and I got involved with managing those. And then Steve Barnard, who's president of Mission, he and I were classmates at Cal Poly together. And we hooked up one time at a social event, and he said, hey, come with me, and I've got the most exciting thing going. It's called California Avocados, and he had some really big dreams and some big visions. I was 35 years old, and I said, let's go. I've been with him 25 years, and we have never looked back. We have, as I say, we have got a lot of gusto. We are a total growth company.
That's exciting, Chris. We know that California produces upwards of 90% of all the fresh avocados consumed in the country, and most of those avocados are grown in the small space from San Luis Obispo to San Diego County by 6,000 growers on roughly 50,000 acres. Tell us a little bit more about Mission and their role and Steve's role in forming this company, and exactly where is your footprint today corporately, and what is the company's role in that?
Well, we're the world's largest packer, shipper, and marketer, and we, of course, California is our headquarters. But to show you, Paul, how this thing has grown, the growth in the industry is 14% a year. When I started with Mission in 1991, NAFTA wasn't in effect, was not here. People were paying way too much for avocados. They were really a niche market. And the biggest crop that we ever produced in California was 500 million pounds. Today, this last year, we brought in over 2 million pounds of avocados were sold in the United States. The return back to the grower was astronomical because of everybody now. You go into the store, you buy lettuce, you buy tomatoes, and you buy an avocado for dinner. But the vision for Mission is that we were the first company that ripened the fruit, like tomatoes, bananas, whatever. People didn't want to have to wait for 7 to 10 days for a piece of fruit to ripen. They wanted something they could eat tonight or tomorrow. So that was huge of what we've done. We are a privately held company by growers, stockholders, whatever. But our vision, but what's key about us, we have forward distribution centers. We have 8 of them in North America, where we ship fruit to it, we ripen it, and we send it out to the major retailers. We're global. We're the largest grower in Peru, 10,000 acres. We're the largest grower in New Zealand. We're 2 operations in Mexico, which is, of course, is the largest in the world. But the growth factor, we do not grow enough avocados in California to supply the demand. And that is why we have gone outside and we have gone global. 14% annual growth in this industry. That's pretty impressive.
I'll say it's interesting too that you mentioned early on and living in Fallbrook and managing some small family owned avocado orchards. I read recently where the average orchard in the state of California is about 10 acres and is still, in fact, family owned. Is that correct?
You're absolutely right. 10 acres, 50,000 acres, 6,000 growers. It was. It's a niche market, but the growers, and it's a push and a tug and trying to put a square peg into a round hole. When avocados were, first started in Fallbrook, and then which was the Fuerte, and then the predominantly is the Hass, which is 90% of the market. It was not a major money maker. So they put them on hillsides. They put them where they couldn't put anything else. And all of a sudden they became so popular and financially so much more for the grower to make. I mean, you can make $10,000 per acre a year. That all of a sudden they were trying to put a square peg into a round hole. So we have many challenges now. But here in Ventura County, we're in the top 5 as a agricultural crop. That is how this crop has grown in our county. Sadly, then we're in San Diego County, due to land values, due to water restrictions, due to different types of diseases, the avocado capital of the world is moving north, and we will be the avocado capital of the world in Ventura County here within the next 2 years.
So, Chris, you mentioned some of the challenges you have, and of course, earlier you mentioned how happy you were to get an inch of rain here last day or so. I assume that irrigation water and irrigation practices is pretty important to the farming operations in avocados.
Huge, absolutely huge. It is a tropical fruit, and they need a minimum of 3 acre-feet of water per year. The water costs, of course, as we all know, have just gone absolutely out of control. We have been in a 5-year drought in this state. The biggest thing is the groundwater management and the amount of drawdown that we have taken, all of agriculture has taken throughout the state. It's just come back to haunt us. Ventura County I think it is in the top 10 counties in the nation in the return per acre of what we produce here. We're, $560 million a year in strawberries, lemons, number 2, celery, raspberry, blueberries, avocados. It's all contingent on water, and now water quality. So if you're not paying attention to irrigation, you're not going to be in business long.
So what are some of the things that you're doing on your farms to help improve the efficiencies and make sure that we're protecting both water supplies and water quality?
Well, it's interesting. When I started 25 years ago with Mission, you couldn't believe how many growers I saw that were flood irrigated. Furrow irrigated on the flat ground. This is interesting. You don't see that anywhere anymore. What we are doing today, of course, pressure compensators on every line to make sure your flow from the top to the middle to the bottom is equal. Micro sprinklers, mini sprinklers, huge. When we plant new grows, 1 gallon emitters at each tree. We use tape on the side sometimes for the first 3 to 4 years, irrigation tape for the root zone. We're using drones actually to fly over groves and to look for stress. Aerometers, tensiometers, soil moisture, root stress zones. We, being a Cal Poly graduate, and Paul is too, have the creme de la creme, the number 1 avocado, 65 acres producing grove in all of United States. There at Cal Poly, it is the diamond in the research of what we're doing there. And everything with irrigation, soil management, it's all around water, and we are so proud of it. our production there is so outstanding, and it's all due to water and light management.
There's a ton of technology that sounds like you've been bringing into the farm.
Absolutely.
Is that being difficult for everybody to learn? Have there been some challenges with that?
You know what? Not a bit. It's just, what has been so tough is when you stop and think about agriculture, and you go around to all the different everything in agriculture, wine grapes, strawberries, blueberries. When you look at how much money is in per acre before they ever get their first flat of fruit. Here in Ventura County, we have over $50,000 per acre invested in each strawberry block before we ever pick the first flat. $50,000. That's why you can see these guys don't sleep at night. So that's why in San Luis Obispo and in avocados and water, we want technology. We want computers. Cal Poly, we have the first ever automatic valves in the field. Now these are electric valves that we have put in, and we sit there, and when those root zones are stressed, it could be 2 a.m, it could be 75 degrees with an east wind, and they say, hey, I'm stressed, give me 2 hours of water, and then it shuts down. Or nutrition. It sits there and says, man, I need some nitrogen. I need phosphorus, potassium. Avocados need potassium. Huge amount of potassium. We kick it on. We balance everything. So you sit there and say, wow, you've done it. But you know what? The cost, the return is, it only takes a couple extra bins of fruit to pay for it. And that has been the biggest challenge with our growers. Sit there and say, look what you can do. But if you're going to make money, you got to put the money out.
So I agree with you that that Cal Poly that we have here in San Luis Obispo is a jewel of a resource for California growers, not just in avocados, but for all crops. But not everybody, not all these other growing regions in the world that you mentioned have a Cal Poly. How are the challenges we have here different from some of the other parts of the world?
Well, that's a great point. Okay, so we started out here, and we're in a semi-arid or desert here in California, the land of milk and honey. And I heard the deal with the almonds. All my bee guys that bring in bees to me, they also have almond groves, and I just, I love the California Almond Group and what they've done. They're the greatest guys ever, and they've done a great job. Israel is like us, and so they've learned how to manage it. Chile, which was they are in a drought, and they are in real problems with their irrigation management. We have got 10,000 acres of private ground in Peru. They've stuck $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 billion in a new water project right out of the Andes. I mean, this stuff, because avocados do not like a lot of salinity, a lot of chlorides, very, very low, like strawberries. Anything above 50 or 60, you get yourself in trouble. So there are a lot of challenges. You're right. You know what's interesting, you guys? Mexico, the largest producer in the world, gets 70 inches of rain in their main producing area, but there's no irrigation. It's all on Mother Nature. 70 inches of rain a year. So you're looking at us. We just need 20 inches here this year just to leach out the salts in the soil. That's all we want to do. If we do not get an El Nino here this year, we're in trouble because these trees are not going to set up for next year. They are so loaded up. The ground is so loaded up with salts.
We have a caller. His name is Don, and that's for Chris, if you're ready for him.
Don, what do you got, partner? Good evening.
Good evening. Well, listen, thanks for the fascinating talk. The question actually started to form with the almond expert, but you just touched on it a minute ago. My question actually has to do less with water and more with bees. They've been in the news a lot over the past few years. And with the drought sort of taking center stage, we haven't heard how the nature's helpers are faring these days. And I know that you guys are dependent on them. Can you say a word or two about the health of the California bee population?
Well, we've had real challenges, and in the almond deal, it's mandatory you bring the bees, and that's key for those guys. In the avocados, it's not mandatory, but we bring them in also, and it's at a different time of it, about a month later. But the problem they've had is some of the chemicals and the systemics, pesticides that we've used on all the different crops, and we are so varied in California, has come back to bite them. And so they get what they call the collapse hive syndrome. But they've gotten really aggressive on taking care of their bees, and it's getting better and better and better. But I tell you what, you can make a lot of money in the bee business, the honey business, but it's a brutal job. Those guys deserve everything they do and everything they make. They work all night long moving bees. It's not a fun deal, let me tell you.
Is the bee population, Chris, are we better off? Are we seeing progress, or about the same, or getting worse, would you say?
Paul, I think it's getting... it's like everything else. If you didn't come up with get more aggressive on your medication to your bees, then you've lost everything. The biggest problem with it, is pollination. There's nothing to pollinate. There's no rain. All of my bee guys, they go to the almonds and they get $160 to $180 to $200 a hive for the almonds, and they have to have them for the almonds, and they have to have them for the cherries. Then they come down here to us, and that's the premier honey. Then they come down to us, and we get $40 a hive, and they're here. And then they used to go in the Sierras or wherever for pollination, but there's no wildflowers anywhere in the western United States for them to work. It's been such a drought. So they're going to Florida, they're going to Montana, they're going to North and South Dakota, because they need the flowers to pollinate. And even with, the high fuel costs and honey, these guys are making $100 a barrel on their raw honey. They still have to go out of state. There's nothing here to work. The sage, the buckwheat, the poppy, there's nothing here to work because we've been in this 5-year drought. So, and that's the way agriculture is. You can be up a couple years and you got down for a couple years. And that's just the way it is in this business. And if you're not tough and you can't stomach it, you shouldn't be in this business.
Well, it sounds like the beekeepers are doing everything they can to keep those colonies healthy. Chris, we have just a few more minutes left, but before we go, do you think you could put your finger on maybe a single biggest obstacle or a challenge that California avocado farmers face to adopt new irrigation or water efficiency technologies?
I can, and we just, as a group, we need to get more efficient. We have a lot of challenges. We've got food safety, we've got trucking with the pollution factor, we've got rural encroachment, cities encroaching in a spray, pesticide, whatever. But water management, number one. Of course, here's the other deal. So you grow it, but you got to be able to find people to pick it. So we're working through that with all the new, the new programs, and hopefully we can get, something done at the border. But water management is key. Groundwater management, depleting these wells. Here in Ventura County, you go down 1,000 feet, you've got salt water. You're pumping right out of the ocean. So, but we've got to be smarter. We've got to use more technology. We've got to rotate. We just can't waste water. And here's the key. When you talk about technology, it doesn't matter if you're sending a guy to the moon or whatever you're doing. You still have to have a warm body with 2 eyes, 2 legs, and 2 ears to walk those lines, to walk those groves, to be there every day to see what is going on. You've got to be backup. You can be, technology, have a spaceship, whatever, but if you've got to be able to be efficient, and water is key, but you've got to have a warm body out there every day walking and looking at it. And that's what people need to understand. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, you're still going to need a human being walking there and making sure that things are being done right. And that is the key, and that's what's exciting. I tell these kids at Cal Poly, get your boots on, boys. Get dirty, because those are the kids I will hire. You want to go play golf? Forget it. I want kids that want to get dirty and want to sit there and do something for the next generation, and the next generation is going to need food. I'm on the board of directors of Feed 'em America, and we have got a lot of people to feed, and that's what's so exciting about agriculture. We are the number one industry in the world, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, we all love eating those avocados. So Chris, we're about out of time here, but before we go, can you share with us where people can learn more about Mission Produce or the avocado industry in California?
Yeah, go to missionavocado.com or .org. Also go to CaliforniaAvocadoIndustry.org. You can learn about where to buy, what to do. We are the exclusive supplier to Ralph's Markets there on ripe avocados. The other thing, you talk about growth in the market. Where do you think the biggest growth in the avocado market is going to be in the next 5 years?
I'm hoping that you know, because I don't.
Smoothies. Smoothies.
So there we have it. We have avocado almond smoothies, and we're done.
I have a question.
We will be so healthy. We'll be so healthy. We'll live to be 100.
Well, avocados are used in other things besides food, in a lot of healthcare beauty products. Chris, let me ask you a question. Years ago, in another life, I designed a lot of specialty gas delivery systems for neonatal ventilators and for the food business, what was called modified atmosphere packaging. Is that something that your company does with the avocados?
Oh, absolutely. We were the very first that ripened the avocados like bananas. I mean, we put them in with ethylene gas and for 4 to 5 days, just like bananas, just like tomatoes. We ripen them. Because when people go to the store, you say, what do you want? And they say, we want an avocado we can put in our salad or have guacamole for tonight. So modified atmosphere is huge. Absolutely.
All right.
Chris, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate all that you're doing for us as a community in growing healthy avocados for not just the citizens of the state of California, but for the country. Thank you.
Hey, no problem at all. And remember, if it isn't out of California, you want it safe and you want the freshest. California Ag, #1, baby.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey,
take care, my friend.
Thanks, Paul, and our guys down in MIB and Claude. Appreciate that. Just to let you know about next week's guest, we have California State Secretary of Natural Resources, John Laird, and another gentleman called Russell Robinson, who's the executive director of what's called JNF. It stands for Jewish National Fund. They have helped put together a program with the state of Israel and California, and they're having a summit on March 3rd. March 2nd, actually. It's called the California Israel Water Summit up in Beverly Hills. And we're invited, and I understand there's lots of diplomats that are going to show up at that, so we get a chance to interview them, so we're excited about that. Hey, Claude and Paul, how do you see your part of the business growing with the ag world with this water situation? Oh, they left the air. Okay, didn't know they left the air. But anyway, go back to our regular program. Thanks again to all the people who entered into our radio contest for the guessing amount water that you did or that would have in the month of February. We appreciate that. And we want to thank all our sponsors for the show. And again, thanks to Paul and Claude for joining in. And Mikeypedia, if you're still listening and still at work, go home and see your bride. And again, thanks to Don calling in. Again, anybody that has any questions about irrigation, whether it's for the residential commercial side and or for the agriculture word, go to ToroWatersmart.com, and there's a entry that you can leave a message for us, and we'll certainly get back to you very shortly on that, usually within 24 hours. And we'll make that happen for everybody. And we're excited coming up for the next couple of weeks. We have lots of good guests. As I mentioned, the two coming up the week after. But we have our new DIY guy, Richard Daigle, and he'll be doing a lot of things and answering questions. So, again, we appreciate everybody for joining, and we'll see you next week. So, everybody have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. It's Wolfman Jack.
Sometimes I get to thinking there's just not enough love and romance left in our lives today. And that's why I like to reminisce and to relive that first feeling of love and do it all over again.
Did you boogie with your baby in the back row of the movie show?
The Wolfman's back all the way on KCAA at midnight, Friday and Saturday nights, coming in March. Don't miss the Wolfman on 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
KCAA. Call the dogs and put out the fire. This is Baxter Black with a little peek at marginal quotes. When you go to B&W Hitch Factory for a visit, you won't need a passport or a Chinese translator. Why? Because their hitches are made right here in the heart of America. Sometimes that gets lost